I just defeated a single metal slime, but to my shock, it dropped a full set of S-rank, God-tier equipment. It was all thanks to a system bug that had granted me a hidden attribute. My luck stat had been maxed out at 9,889. This one change was enough to rewrite my tragic fate from my previous life. The Emma regressor. In my past life, even as a gray-haired old man, I was nothing more than a bottom-tier, bronze-rank adventurer. I was trapped on the first floor of the dungeon, the place where all the low-level grunts gathered. My life ended when the war between humans and monsters reached its final, devastating stage. The monsters from the dungeons invaded human society, unleashing countless beasts that tore cities apart. Humanity was utterly defeated. Seeing the news, adventurers began to flee in a panic. "Hey, get out of here. This is no time to be hunting slimes," a kind young man warned me, but I ignored him. I just walked silently toward the slime in front of me. "Just leave him," another adventurer scoffed, shoving me aside as he ran. "He's just a useless old geezer." I fell helplessly to the ground. I couldn't accept this. Decades had passed since the adventure profession was born, and with it came a game-like system interface. People could level up by defeating monsters, and their stats would increase. Sometimes, they'd even gain magic and skills. But why, even after reaching level 98, had none of my stats ever changed? I had worked harder than anyone. Every single day, I earned experience by killing slimes. My only hope was to reach the max level, and pray for a miracle. Time was running out. So what if my sword broke? Even if I died, I would hit level 99 today. Otherwise, I would die with nothing but regret. "Come on," I muttered to myself. "I'm going to achieve my life's dream with my own 2 hands." I always believed I was a late bloomer. It had to be true. Fate couldn't be this cruel. This had to be a mistake. Notification: congratulations, Taikahashi Yukito has reached level 99. Seeing the system notification, I was filled with excitement. It's here. It's finally here. Reward me for all these years of hard work. Notification: congratulations, adventurer. Strength has increased by 1 point. Seeing that pathetic notification, I froze. This couldn't be happening. It had to be a joke. I had spent my entire life reaching the max level, only to gain a single, measly point in strength. Wait, what had I done to deserve this? All hope was lost. At that moment, countless high-level monsters swarmed in and surrounded me. In my despair, I could do nothing. This was the end. My entire life had been nothing but misery. Since childhood, everyone had looked down on me. No one wanted to party with someone as useless as me. The family I loved died because of my incompetence. I even ruined the happiness of my only sister. Let this miserable life end here. Notification: player has died. A critical error has been detected in player Takahashi Yukito's system status. Restoring. Life regression initiated. Hidden parameters have been unlocked. To compensate for the system error, 999 bonus points have been awarded. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my young body. "Congratulations. From now on, you're a real adventurer," a guild employee said. I was completely bewildered. After a moment to process everything, I finally understood. I had regressed. I had returned to the day I first became an adventurer. But what was going on? My status screen looked different. What was this scroll button in the corner? When I scrolled down, I was shocked to see a new stat had appeared. Luck 990 In my previous life, the luck stat had always been hidden. Could it be that after 70 years of nothing but misfortune, fate was finally paying me back? Either way, it was time to head into the dungeon and kill some slimes to test it out. I arrived at the first floor of the Tokyo dungeon, the vanishing footprints. Seeing the gooey slimes in the grass gave me a strange sense of warmth. In my past life, I'd killed them every single day. Looking back, I actually missed it. Just then, a dark shadow flashed behind me. When I turned, I was shocked to see it was a metal slime, a super rare monster I'd only encountered once in my past life, and it had escaped. Defeating one granted a massive amount of experience. But they were famous for running away. The moment it sensed danger, it would bolt. I needed to approach it silently from behind. But at that crucial moment, an arrow suddenly landed near my feet. It was from an archer not far off, who had also spotted the prize, and his aim was terrible. It is. Now it's going to get away. The metal slime was startled and charged straight at me. What incredible luck. Not only did it not run, but it targeted me. This was perfect. Come to pay, bot. I grinned. My sword pierced through the metal slime's head instantly, its core shattered with a single slash. Level ups 4. No wonder they said metal slimes gave insane experience. Unfortunately, my cheap sword broke from the single strike. I needed to buy a new weapon soon. Just then, a golden light shone behind me. N's rank rare sword had dropped. Was this the effect of my maxed out luck? Metal slime greatsword. Properties: extremely high attack power, massive damage, but a 30 chance to miss. Immediately after, I encountered 4 more super rare metal slimes. Incredibly, the normally timid creatures didn't flee. Instead, they charged right at me. If you're this eager to give me experience, I won't hold back. I raised this rank sword I just acquired. 1 slash for each. I took them all down with ease, and every single hit was a critical. This was the power of a maxed out luck stat. Rank item acquired metal slime armor. Rank item acquired metal slime gauntlets. Rank item acquired metal slime boots. 2 adventurers behind me watched in disbelief. This luck was insane. I continued hunting slimes, and while I didn't always run into metal slimes, I encountered them a total of 10 times. They dropped a ton of rank gear. Today was the happiest day of my life. This feeling was incredible. In this life, I would use this power to walk a different path. I will find the best doctors to cure my mother's illness, and, of course, give my sister, Nishimi, the happiness she deserves. I swear, in this life, I will keep them both safe. That's right, I hadn't seen them since I regressed. It had been 70 long, lonely years. I needed to go home. I wanted to see my family. The homesickness hit me all at once, and I couldn't wait another second. My feet moved faster and faster, as if they had a mind of their own. Soon, I found my old house. After so many years, I'd almost forgotten which room was ours, but when I saw the apartment number, the memories of my childhood came flooding back. A moment ago, I was rushing here, but now, my heart pounded with anxiety. Behind this door was the family I had longed for day and night. Just as I worked up the courage to open the door, it swung open, revealing a familiar figure. Big brother, welcome home. The moment I saw Nishimi, my emotions broke. I opened my arms and pulled her into a hug. I'm home, I whispered. This time, I won't let anyone take you away from me. I'll protect everything I cherish. After calming down, I told Nishimi everything that had happened. She was overjoyed. Does that mean Mom's illness can be cured? Yes, I said confidently. With the gear I'm getting from monsters, money won't be an issue anymore. The next day, I sold some of the rare equipment and received a huge sum of money. I used it at an auction to buy a high-grade healing potion, and then took Nishimi to the hospital to visit our mother. Mom, we're here to see you. Our mother was happy to see us. Nishimi, you're so sweet, she said, taking the gift my sister brought. I'm just glad you came, but you really don't need to bring me anything. Save your money. Don't worry about money, Mom, I said, pulling out the high-grade healing potion. I became an adventurer and made a lot in the dungeon. There, drink this. As she drank the potion, a healing light emanated from her body. She felt much better instantly. Either her breathing became easier. After the doctor's examination, he confirmed her illness was in remission. After some rehabilitation, she could finally come home. Our family could live together again. It felt like a dream. But even though she looked healthier, it wasn't enough. The potion was only a temporary fix. We needed a stronger medicine and elixir. Hearing this, Nishimi remembered something she saw on TV. The world's #1 adventurer had found a special item, a potion that could revive the dying. It was said to drop around the 50th floor, and was untradeable. It was a unique item that only its owner could use. To get it, I'd have to earn it myself. Big brother, are you confident you can make it to the 50th floor? Nishimi asked, her face full of worry. No way, I admitted. Normally, I'd be killed long before I ever got there. She looked disappointed. So what do we do? But that's only under normal circumstances, I continued. What I have now isn't just a second life, it's a lifetime of knowledge that comes with it. I know an exception: the boss on the 20th floor, the ancient statue. Defeating it has a chance to drop that rare elixir, but the drop rate is incredibly low. Very few adventurers ever died in my past life. But with my maxed out luck stat, even the lowest probability is no obstacle. And there's more good news. Even though leveling up doesn't raise my stats, I can learn new skills. Skill learned: Great Chain Slash. A warrior skill with a 30 chance to trigger 3 consecutive critical hits. Today, I would conquer the dungeon. However, I only equipped 2 of my rank items: the Metal Slime Greatsword for its insane attack power, and the Metal Slime's Tear, an accessory with a 1/3 chance to have incoming damage. I couldn't wear the heavy armor, because my base stats were too low to meet the minimum requirements. My destination was the 5th floor of the Tokyo dungeon, the Forest of Ruin. Defeating the monsters there had a chance to drop a miracle fruit. After taking the lunchbox Nishimi made for me, I set up. I'll be back stronger, I promised her. I entered the forest on the 5th floor, a place filled with plant-type monsters. The floor was notorious for its confusing terrain that often got adventurers lost. Luckily, the lower dungeon floors had been conquered by countless adventures, so detailed maps were easy to come by. Following the map, I shouldn't have any trouble. Soon, I reached my first target, the habitat of the Trants. Trants were ambush predators, using camouflage to lure their prey. It was difficult to distinguish them from ordinary trees, but their disguises weren't perfect. If you looked closely, you'd notice their leaves had no veins, and their roots grew in strange directions. I tossed a rock, and sure enough, one of the trees suddenly moved. A pair of glowing red eyes stared at me menacingly. I immediately raised my greatsword and slashed down. Trants have low attack power. As long as you avoided their ambushes, they were easy to defeat. Notification: congratulations, adventurer. You have obtained a miracle fruit. I picked it up and took a bite. It tasted pretty good. More importantly, my strength increased by 1 point. No wonder it was called a miracle fruit. It really did increase a random stat by 1. Now I could finally build up my strength. For the rest of the day, I relied on my max luck to continuously kill Trants and get tons of miracle fruits. During my break, I ate the lunch Nishimi had prepared. After a hard day's work, I had maxed out all of my stats. Finally, my stats were on par with an average warrior of my level. Just as I was about to head home, 2 figures emerged from the shadows behind me. Hunting alone is a bad idea, rookie, one of them sneered. Let us teach you the rules. The 2 men, one tall and one short, weren't wearing adventurer badges. Are you strays? They asked. Strays were criminals who specialized in committing crimes inside dungeons. I heard of them, but never thought I'd actually meet any. Scared now, kid? The tall one said. Hand over all your gear, and we might let you live. Sorry, but I wouldn't give a criminal a single twig, I replied flatly. My words instantly angered them. You had your chance. Don't blame us for what happens next. You're just some rich kid relying on your gear. You think you can take on both of us? The tall man charged at me with his sword. Instead of backing away, I closed the distance, rushing straight toward him. Then, just before we met, I leaped high into the air. Skill: Great Chain Slash. The tall man laughed when he heard me. What a rookie. Great Chain Slash. That skill only has a 30 hit rate. How could trash like that ever hit me? Let me show you my sure hit skill. Sure Hit Pierce. Maxed out luck versus a sure hit skill whose technique would prevail. Surprisingly, his sure hit skill didn't even graze my clothes, let alone deal any damage. While the tall man was still wondering what happened, my skill, with its mere 30 chance to hit, landed perfectly, sending him flying into a tree behind him. The incredible force knocked him out instantly. The fat man beside him watched in disbelief. How is that possible? A 30 hit rate triggered on the first try. That luck is insane. Taking down one opponent so easily, all my tension vanished. Awesome. All my skills are triggering successfully. The sure hit pierce skill he used required level 25 to learn, so his level was definitely much higher than mine. It was a skill that couldn't be dodged, but in return, its attack power was reduced by 30. My Metal Slime's tear accessory had a 33 chance to have incoming damage. In the end, it wasn't enough to do any real damage to me. Seeing his partner defeated in one blow, the fat man considered retreating. Turn yourself into the Adventurers Guild, and maybe I'll spare you, I said calmly. Being looked down upon enraged him. I'm a mage. This distance is your kill zone. Perfect for me. The advantage is mine. Got it. I casually sheathed my greatsword. Right. At this range, I'd be hit by your magic before I could get close. Good. You understand, then. So be smart and surrender. Otherwise. At that moment, I reached into my system inventory and pulled out a magic staff. Surrender. Never. Seeing me pull out a staff, he laughed. Do you even know what that is? But I ignored him and brandished the staff. It was called the Staff of Chaos, an S-rank weapon that had dropped from a Trent earlier. This guy really is a rookie. He doesn't know anything. Although the Staff of Chaos was technically rare, it was complete junk. Its magic activation was based entirely on luck, making it extremely unreliable. It had a 40 chance of failure, a 30 chance of casting basic magic, a 20 chance of a buff effect, a 9 chance of intermediate magic, and a mere 1 chance for advanced magic. But as I'd activated it, its magic began to cycle randomly through spells. "You brought this on yourself," the fat mage sneered. "And just so you know, I'm casting intermediate magic here. Even if you get ridiculously lucky with that 9 chance, my gear enhances my spells. As a mage, there's no way I can lose. Your lucky streak ends here, rookie." He then cast intermediate fireball. A massive flame shot toward me, but I wasn't worried. My magic was ready too. The Staff of Chaos swirled with different elemental energies, before finally settling on fire magic. Instantly, a massive, flaming boulder appeared above my head. "This is my magic. No, meteor." As my hand came down, the terrifying flaming rock launched toward him. His intermediate fireball was instantly swallowed by the giant meteor. The fat man was horrified. "Impossible. The 1 chance for advanced magic. I'm screwed." He watched, frozen in place, as the fireball of doom hurtled toward him. "This can't be real. No one has this kind of luck. No way." A terrified scream echoed through the sky as the entire forest was engulfed in a sea of fire. After the smoke cleared, all that remained was a scorched crater with the pathetic fat man at its center. The casting overload had broken the Staff of Chaos, but I didn't care. I casually tossed it to the ground like trash. "Sorry, but luck is on my side." After defeating the 2 strays with my maxed out luck, I decided to turn them over to the authorities so they couldn't harm any more adventurers. I found some vines, tied them up, and dragged them back to the surface. Just like in a traditional burb, the unconscious players followed me automatically, so it took no effort at all. As soon as I reached the surface, I called the police, and they were taken away on the spot. They probably wouldn't see the light of day again for a very long time. Afterward, I went to the Adventurers Guild Hall. The receptionist had already heard the news. "Congratulations. Due to your outstanding performance, you have been promoted to a silver rank adventurer." She handed me a silver badge. I was stunned. Becoming a silver rank adventurer was no easy feat. It normally took over 3 years of completing numerous assigned quests and making contributions to the guild. "Rest assured, the decision came from the higher-ups," she explained. "The 2 strays you captured were actually members of the Akomar gang, a notorious criminal group, so you earned a massive contribution score. By the way, you're truly impressive. You were just a bronze rank, yet you defeated 2 thugs with silver rank strength. Those 2 were pretty weak," I said, picking up the silver badge. "It was probably just luck." "You're being modest. As a silver rank adventurer, you can now explore the higher floors." There were floor restrictions for adventurers. Bronze rank could only go up to the 10th floor. Silver rank could go up to the 30th. And gold rank had no restrictions. I could finally go to the 20th floor, exactly where I needed to be. Hearing my plan, the receptionist gave me a word of caution. "The 20th floor is no joke. We strongly advise against attempting it alone." I appreciated the warning, but I had my reasons for going. "Don't worry, I'm not going there to die." I turned and left. This was much sooner than I had expected, all thanks to those 2 strays. Just then, a white-haired old man called out to me. "Are you the adventurer who took down those 2 criminals?" He pointed his cane toward the wanted posters on the wall, 2 of which depicted the very men I had just captured. When I confirmed it, the old man grabbed my hand, his whole body trembling with emotion. "Thank you so much," he said, his voice cracking. "Those monsters murdered my son, and you finally brought them to justice. Whatever your reasons for capturing them, I am eternally grateful. Now I can finally tell my son the good news at his grave." He turned and walked out of the guild hall. In my previous life, no stranger had ever thanked me. This feeling, it was actually great. I had almost forgotten. If history repeated itself, just like in my past life, the world was heading toward destruction. As much as I wanted to save this world, how could I possibly do it alone? "Don't overthink it," I told myself. "Right now, the most important thing is to completely cure Mom's illness. I'll worry about the world being destroyed later." Meanwhile, in a dark room somewhere, candlelight flickered across cold weapons on a stone table. Damn it. How did things turn out like this? A man vented his anger. Yamada and Hashimoto were both captured. What about the tribute for the bosses? "It's all your fault for ruining my plan, Takahashi Yukito. You better watch your back. I'll never let you go. I won't give you the slightest chance to resist. Since you beat 2 of my men, you must be strong." Of course, there are many ways to deal with one person. Being targeted by me is just your bad luck. To get stronger, I went to the 15th floor of the dungeon, the solitary death peak. The paths here were complex, surrounded by rugged rocks, and the terrain made it difficult to work in a team. I had looked up a guide before coming. The complex terrain provided perfect cover, which was why it had become a haven for criminals. That was exactly what I was counting on. This place was perfect for a solo adventurer like me. To challenge the 20th floor, I had to become stronger. Although leveling up didn't increase my base stats, I could learn higher level skills. I had originally planned to gain experience quickly by killing metal slimes, but I must have overhunted them, because I hadn't seen a single one since. I guess even a maxed out luck stat had its limits. Either way, now I could only level up quickly by killing high level monsters. As I continued to defeat various monsters here, not only did I gain massive amounts of experience, but I also luckily got a few rank item drops. At some point, a man appeared from a corner I hadn't noticed, carrying a metal slime greatsword with no other armor. No mistaking it. That's him. Tagashi Yukito. You actually dare to step into my territory. You've got guts, ignoring me like that. But rush him now. That's not how I work. I'll wait for the perfect moment, when his guard is down. Then, I'll strike. The bald man stalked me until evening, but found no opening. This isn't working. I need a better method. I have an idea. I don't have to deal with that bastard myself. This is my territory. I know everything around here. I just need to use it, and I'll crush him with ease. Just like in the natural world, monsters had their own ecosystem. I just needed to exploit it. First, reduce the number of predators here. And, provide abundant food. As long as I fed these insect monsters enough, they would reproduce rapidly in a short period. Without predators, their numbers would grow exponentially. The bald man quietly carried out his plan over the next few days. It's time to reap the rewards. You unfortunate adventurers, you'll all be swept away by this monster army. Soon, the bald man brought a bag of insect repellent to the edge of a cliff. Below, countless insect monsters swarmed. The plan was proceeding smoothly. Now for the final stage. Smelling the repellent, all the insects went into a frenzy. Soon, swarms of insects flew out of the canyon. Ha ha, helm on. Eat that bastard alive. At that moment, I was still hunting nearby monsters. But I heard a buzzing sound in the distance, and it was getting louder and louder. When I looked up, I was immediately shocked by what I saw. A black cloud had suddenly appeared overhead, covering the entire sky in an instant. Looking closer, it wasn't a cloud. It was a massive swarm of insect monsters. Their numbers were beyond what I could handle alone. I immediately sheathed my weapon and sprinted in the other direction. To deal with these monsters, I needed to team up with other adventurers. Where did adventurers gather on this floor? I remembered hearing about this floor in my past life. After the Triangle Mountain outpost was built, conquering solitary Death Peak became much easier. The outpost was located in the Red Earth Cave. But before coming, I had checked the map. There was no sign of a Triangle Mountain outpost. Whatever. I'd head there first. Soon I arrived at the Red Earth Mountain area. I didn't see any caves, let alone other adventures. What was going on? Did I take a wrong turn? But this was no time to think about it. Without hesitation, I jumped down to the ground below. My eyes were immediately drawn to a strange section of the rock wall head. The color of this patch was distinctly different from its surroundings. The cave had to be behind it. I immediately shouted inside, "Is anyone there?" I had come here to find help, but no matter how much I called, there was no response. Seeing the approaching monster swarm, I raised my greatsword and frantically smashed at the rock in front of me. Soon, I shattered the rocks, but the scene inside the cave left me stunned. What the hell was going on here? Dozens of adventurers were tied up on the ground, stripped of all their gear. The bound adventurers pleaded with their eyes for me to free them. I raised my sword. A flash of light from the blade glinted in the air, severing all the ropes that bound them. As the ropes loosened, joy filled the adventurers' faces. I asked, "So, what's going on here? Can anyone tell me?" "It was strays," one of them explained. "They ambushed us while we were hunting. They probably didn't kill us, because they were planning to sell us." So, this was actually a criminal den for strays. It only became an adventure outpost later. In the original timeline, the guild would have soon discovered this place and rescued these adventurers, only then turning it into an outpost. But now, I had gotten here ahead of them. In my past life, I didn't care about this kind of news, so I didn't know much about it. Back then, I had spent all 70 years on the first floor, all for the sake of hunting slimes. Thinking about this, I couldn't help but feel frustrated with my past self. Although this was different from my original plan, I had no choice but to fight alongside these people. With that in mind, I shouted to them, "Excuse me, everyone. Please listen." Pointing to the sky outside the cave, I said, "A massive swarm of death locusts is approaching. We have to unite and face them together." The area outside the cave was already filled with countless death locusts. Each one was in a frenzied state, ready to attack at any moment. Everyone couldn't believe the sight before them. How is this possible? There can't be this many locusts here. What are we going to do? Are we really going to die here? I immediately stepped forward. As you can see, we don't have much time. If you want to survive, please unite and help me. With everyone's strength, we can definitely overcome this crisis. However, a few people stepped out from the crowd. You think we can do it with just us? We'd be better off scattering and running. Maybe some of us will survive. More importantly, the strays took all our gear and weapons. There's no way we can beat that army of locusts outside. No need to worry about gear. With that, I opened my system inventory. As I swiped my finger across the item screen, a huge amount of high-end equipment materialized before me out of thin air. I have plenty of gear. Help yourselves. Everyone was stunned, their mouths agape as they stared at the pile of top-tier gear in front of them. "MS seeing things?" a blonde man asked, examining it closely. He realized these were all items that dropped on this floor, and every piece was of rare quality. Who is this guy? I've never seen him on the adventure rankings. Soon, everyone had picked out gear they were happy with. Unbelievable. I never thought I'd have such a lucky day. This gear is amazing. The female mage asked me, "Can we really use these for free, or do we have to give something back?" "Of course, you can use them for free. I can even give them all to you. But there's one simple condition in the upcoming battle: you follow my commands." "That's it." "Of course, no problem. You not only saved us but also gave us such great gear. You're our leader now." "Alright. How are we going to deal with those bugs outside?" I never expected such cooperation. I was completely thrown off by this sudden trust. In my past life, I had seen too many selfish, petty people. But now, here with them, I felt luckier than ever. Thank you all so much. Okay, here's the plan. Our biggest problem is that we're outnumbered. But the good news is, this narrow entrance is to our advantage. Only a limited number of enemies can enter at once. We'll use this advantage to quickly eliminate the death locusts that fly in, taking them down one by one. After hearing the plan, no one had any objections. I then drew the great sword from my back and said, "Everyone, prepare for battle." The cave defense plan officially began. "Come in and meet your end, you bugs." As planned, whenever locusts flew in from the entrance, we immediately eliminated them all. Thanks to our coordination, the warriors were at the front, blocking the monster's advance, while the archers and mages behind provided ranged attacks. With our perfect coordination, the locust army gradually thinned out. However, what we didn't know was that outside, a large number of locusts were flying toward the top of the mountain. If anyone were there, they would have discovered that the locusts had actually encased the entire mountain, with debris occasionally falling. This was because they were digging. Inside the cave, although there were many locusts, with everyone's cooperation, we were barely managing. Then, without warning, the ceiling caved in, and debris rained down. Seeing this, I immediately shouted, "Everyone, don't panic. Hold the formation, and slowly retreat." However, as the cracks in the ceiling widened, countless locusts poured through in the next second. The two nearest adventurers turned and ran in terror. With so many locusts suddenly flooding the cave, our previous plan was no longer viable. We were even being surrounded by locusts. Damn it. I didn't expect this. The unstable cave was in danger of collapsing at any moment, and there were more locusts than we could fight. I barely got this second life. Was it going to end so soon? At that moment, I discovered explosives left behind in the mine. They were prepared by the strays to expand their den. Obtained crude explosives. Maybe I could try using them. I immediately shouted to everyone behind me, "Everyone, pick up all the explosives scattered around us." So, everyone split into two teams. The smaller team began collecting the nearby explosives, while our strongest warriors held off the locusts. We held out like this for a few more hours. The locusts had eaten through a third of the cave, and to make matters worse, there was a steep cliff behind us. We were now cornered. Everyone's stamina was almost depleted. If I didn't think of something, we wouldn't last much longer. I glanced at the cliff behind us. Finally, I made my decision. "Everyone, listen up. Give me all the explosives you have. Without hesitation, everyone threw their explosives to me. I reached out and caught them. My inventory now contained a massive amount of explosives. I immediately took them out and scattered them along the edge of the cliff. Meanwhile, due to the locusts gnawing, the cave was about to collapse completely. I immediately ordered everyone, run. Leave the rest to me. The others wasted no time, and quickly ran toward the cave exit. Some of them asked me, "Are you crazy? Why aren't you running? Do you want to die with these beasts? And did you forget that warriors can't use explosives?" "Don't worry," I said with a confident smile. "Just trust me." Then, I stood at the edge of the cliff, drawing all the surrounding death locusts toward me. There are times in life when you have to take a risk, and it looks like this is one of them. Crude explosives. Use all at once. As I pressed the eyes button, I leaped toward the cliff. "Come on, you bugs. Let me show you what I'm made of." Warning: current player lacks the skills to handle explosives. Detonation probability 50. Warning: explosives are of crude quality. Detonation probability adjusted to 25. As a warrior, my detonation rate was indeed low, but I had a maxed out luck stat. Successful use. Instantly, all the surrounding explosives detonated. The flames immediately engulfed all the charging locusts. The entire cliff was destroyed, and the rest of the locust army lost their balance from the explosion, falling down with me. Now I could only bet on this. I stepped right onto the falling rocks. Then, using various debris in the air, I continuously leaped upward. I then raised my greatsword. Skill: Great Chain Slash. A single swing cleaved a giant boulder in two. But I missed one. What a pain. Let me end this. I raised my greatsword. Its tip focused a golden light. Sure hit skill. Sure hit pierce. It not only dealt a critical hit but also pierced straight through the target. The last monster fell, and I used the impact force to push myself toward the edge of the cliff. A smile formed on my face. I did it. But then I realized the distance to the top was still a bit too far. With no other choice, I raised my greatsword and stabbed it hard into the cliff face. But unexpectedly, the entire rock broke loose. Victory was right there. Oh, not like this. So close. At that moment, a rope swung down rapidly, wrapping around my arm. With everything I had left, I clung to this last hope of survival. "Everyone, pull him up." Looking at these adventurers, something clicked within me. Having companions. Maybe it's not so bad after all. Most of the locusts were crushed by the falling debris, and the few remaining were either eliminated by us, or fled in defeat. Looking down at the bottom of the cliff, filled with locust carcasses under the setting sun, I smiled. This time, I had finally won the gamble. Annihilating the locust army without a single casualty was nothing short of a miracle. At the same time, I received a huge reward. Exterminated a large number of death locusts. Fatal Exterminator has been granted. Damage dealt to insect-type monsters increased by 20. Level increased by 3. New skill learned: Warrior's Instinct. Because I had saved countless adventurers and resolved the locust plague, I instantly became a celebrity in the adventurer community, attracting attention everywhere I went. People constantly tried to befriend me, and teams even recruited me for dungeon runs, but I politely declined them all. Sorry, I'm in a hurry. I refused all party invitations, because, in group hunts, the loot was random. There was no guarantee I'd get the elixir every time. Plus, the gear dropped by monsters killed by others was low level. I was better off hunting alone. I hadn't been home in a few days. Mom and Nishimi must have been worried. I returned home to a grand dinner my mom had prepared to welcome me. I took a bite. This taste brought back so many memories. I wish the three of us could stay like this forever. Then Nishimi suddenly spoke up. "Big brother, are you really going to challenge the 20th floor? Don't push yourself too hard. I heard from the neighbors that starting from the 20th floor, things are completely different. Statistics show that less than 15 of adventurers make it past the 20th floor. You can imagine how difficult it is." "It's fine," I reassured them. "You both saw the news, right? I'm pretty amazing now. Just please don't force yourself," Mom added. "If there's any danger, retreat immediately. My illness is much better now. There's no need to rush." But I knew better than anyone that if I didn't get the elixir soon, the tragedy from my past life would repeat itself. "Mom, don't worry. I'll come back safe." "Big brother, you're so stubborn," Ishimi sighed. "Once you've made up your mind, nothing can change it." "Yes, in that regard, you're just like your father," Mom said with a soft smile. The tragedy of my past life stabbed at my heart like a needle. To escape the shadow of the past and start a new life, this time, I would get that elixir. I arrived at a dark, underground palace. Tokyo dungeon, 20th floor, the superphysical barrier. To save time, I sprinted forward. Two humanoid puppets suddenly appeared ahead. That was what made this floor unique. Every monster here was inorganic soulless killing machines. But facing these monsters, I had no intention of stopping. Two quick slashes destroyed them. At that moment, a gargoyle from above dived toward me. I raised my greatsword and split it in two with one slash. Without stopping, I continued to run forward. Soon, I reached the entrance to the boss room, but a huge shadow blocked the way. Looking closely, I saw it was a powerful stone guardian. Seeing an intruder, it slowly stood up. It then raised its fist and swung at me. I used my footwork to dodge while quickly approaching it. Then, as soon as I was close, I raised my greatsword and smashed it hard into the stone guardian's chest core, shattering it directly. The stone guardian lost its power and collapsed. I walked to the entrance of the boss room. This battle would be a crucial turning point in my life. Starting today, I would create my own brilliant future. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a man whose perfect plan had failed was filled with endless rage and fear. What do I do? At this rate, they'll kill me. It's all that bastard's fault. I'll definitely take you down. Even if it costs me my life, I won't hesitate. At the same time, I pushed open the boss room door and stepped inside. The room was spacious, but completely empty, without any living creatures. There was only a huge magic circle drawn on the central floor. But as soon as the door automatically closed, the central magic circle suddenly lit up, and a giant stone figure appeared. The 20th floor boss, the enchanted golem, was equipped with heavy armor and had devastating attack power, but that was about it. With my speed advantage, as long as I didn't get hit, I could barely handle it. With that in mind, I charged at the boss with my sword. The boss swung a heavy punch at me, but I easily dodged it. I immediately seized this opportunity and swung my greatsword at the stone figure's leg. The powerful attack left cracks on the boss's leg. This was my battle plan. Since the stone figure's defense was too high, I could only destroy it piece by attacking specific points. Destroying the core was only a matter of time. But then, the unexpected happened. While I was engaged with the boss, a familiar figure quietly slipped through the door. Takahashi Yukito, and hair. With his arrival, the central magic circle lit up again. Another enchanted golem was summoned. I stared at the newly appeared boss in front of me in amazement. What was going on? Normally, two bosses couldn't appear in one room unless there was an intruder. But when I looked back at the door, I didn't notice anything unusual. The door was still tightly closed. This only confused me more. Normally, during a boss battle, if another team or individual suddenly intruded, a dual boss anomaly would occur. But even newbies would make such a basic mistake, let alone on the 20th floor. While I was still pondering what was happening, a dagger flew swiftly toward me. I immediately sensed the danger behind me. I raised my greatsword, turned, and swung. With a clang, the dagger was knocked away. Where did that dagger come from? So, the dual boss wasn't an accident. Damn it. This guy's reaction is fast. That's right. At that moment, the bald man was quietly hiding behind a stone pillar, trying to ambush me when I wasn't paying attention. Even though you got lucky and dodged it, my huge advantage this time hasn't changed. In my eyes, this guy was a fool. I had done my research before coming here. The adventure forums stated that the recommended party size for the 20th floor boss was 4 or more. Yet, you dared to come alone. This gave me an opportunity. I didn't have to worry about being attacked by the boss. That's because I was a rogue with a much higher level than that guy. I just needed to use my stealth skill to erase my presence and remain undetected. Soon after, the bald man quickly rushed toward the red golem. Skill cat's walk. While Takahashi Yukito fought the green golem, the bald man attacked the red golem's back. Then, he activated his skill again. Shadow step. He instantly appeared in the shadows in the corner of the room. The red golem was now enraged. With nowhere to vent its anger, it directed its fury at me and somehow appeared behind me. To be sure, I even brought my precious invisibility cloak. It significantly reduces the chance of being detected. This way, even if this guy senses my presence, he won't be able to find me. Now it's 3 against 1. Let's see how you win. With that thought, he took out a vial of poison and applied it to his dagger. Then, he threw it at me. Just you wait as you take step after step toward hell. A blade of light grazed my cheek. Notification toxin check failed. Seeing his deadly poison had no effect, the bald man was shocked. This guy has poison resistance gear too. Don't think it's over. That was just the beginning. He then scattered a handful of coltrops toward me. Next are these thorn balls. The moment they touch an object, they instantly shoot out countless spikes. And this too. The bald man set up wires across the room, which crackled with electricity. Finally, this poison gas is specially prepared for you. As the gas was released, the bald man threw a gas canister toward the center of the room. Now, with so many traps, your movements will be severely restricted, and you'll eventually be killed by these two bosses. All I need to do now is hide on the ceiling and watch the show. However, what he didn't know was that even though I was fighting the boss, I had already detected him. Are you done with your little show? How is that possible? You can actually see me. Don't be silent. At least say something. You're not some stalker with a crush on me, are you? I said, throwing a dagger toward him. After confirming I could see him, the bald man stopped being silent and immediately asked, how exactly did you detect me? Sorry, I just learned a new skill, Warrior's Instinct. You've heard of it, right? It's a pretty famous skill. How can that be? For high-level rogues, the success rate of such a low-level skill was extremely low. What's wrong? Can't face reality, or are you scared and want to run? The bald man was immediately enraged by my words. You bastard. You've completely pissed me off. Let me show you my true power. With that, the bald man raised his dual blades and charged at me. I quickly raised my greatsword to block, then forcefully pushed him back. You cowardly stalker. I almost thought I was the one with the higher level. There was a skill that others considered completely useless, but in my eyes, it was a god-tier skill, Warrior's Instinct, a skill that could sense surrounding danger. The reason others thought it was useless was because its successful activation rate was extremely low, with a failure rate as high as 99. However, for this luck-dependent skill, with my maxed outlook stat, it was almost 100. Skill successfully activated. Can sense all dangers in the area. The effect was like a circular radar suddenly appearing in front of me, with all the dots on it representing things that were a threat to me. As a rogue, the bald man couldn't believe his perfect stealth had been defeated by a skill all adventurers recognized as trash. I don't care how you detected me. Your death is certain. Then come and try it. I'm not afraid of a guy who only knows how to hide in the shadows. The two of us immediately engaged in combat. The sound of clashing blades echoed continuously in the room. The two bosses seemed to have become spectators. Aha. A warrior competing in speed with me. A rogue. You're too green. Not to mention, my level is higher than yours. Under his rapid attacks, I couldn't dodge in time, and my arm was finally slashed, leaving a bloody wound. Paralysis check avoided. I really want to know what items you have. Neither the poison just now nor the paralysis toxin triggered. In one smooth motion, I jumped up, using the boss as a springboard to launch myself behind him. Then, I raised my greatsword. Skill Great Chain Slash. The immense force smashed into the ground, but the bald man easily dodged it. But my attack wasn't over yet. I raised my greatsword and aimed at him. Skill Sure Hit Pierce. Seeing the Sure Hit skill, the bald man laughed. You think a Sure Hit skill really guarantees a hit? What a ridiculous skill. Butterfly Dance. The point stab suddenly turned into an illusion, becoming fluttering butterflies. The bald man's real body had teleported behind me without a scratch. Damn it, he actually dodged it. You really are a rookie. When opposing skills clash, even sure hit skills can be dodged. It mainly depends on the circumstances. He raised his dual blades and slashed at me. My thigh was immediately slashed again. At this moment, I was in a terrible state, constantly retreating. Aha, I'm a rogue who specializes in hunting newbie warriors. At this point, the bosses couldn't stand it anymore. Being completely treated like air by these two, did they know where they were? Soon after, a death ray shot toward me. Without even looking back, I ducked and dodged it. The bald man dodged even more easily, not even slowing down as he continued to launch fierce attacks at me. No matter how the bosses attacked, the bald man ignored them, his eyes only showing the determination to kill me. These big guys with only fixed attack patterns can be easily dodged without even looking. You must have bought the info on the guild's forum too, right? Right now, I was in a serious crisis, only able to defend passively. The two bosses had become spectators, seemingly complaining, I've been completely disgraced as a boss today. Fine. Do as you please. Due to the bald man's relentless pressure, I was cornered and accidentally stepped on his trap. You're about done for, aren't you? The moment you stepped in here alone, your death was sealed. Skill Scorpion's death strike. 2 streams of black light shot toward me. The terrifying power was too much for even my greatsword to block. I was sent flying backward, smashing into the wall behind me. My greatsword fell to the ground. At this moment, I was filled with despair. Seeing his chance, the bald man rushed over to finish me off. Let me give you the final blow. Now, die. Just as his dual blades were about to strike me, I revealed a victorious smile. You fool. I was luring you in. Instantly, the bald man was enveloped by a gravity sphere, unable to escape no matter how he struggled. Damn it, a gravity trap. When did you set it? The moment I saw the second boss appear, I felt something was wrong. The guides we look up are usually for normal cases, but I never expected an idiot to intrude on a boss battle. After the dual boss event occurred, the entire room structure subtly changed. You didn't think an intruder just meant one more boss, did you? It means the overall difficulty increased by a level. As a row, you didn't even notice such an obvious trap. Hearing my taunt, the bald man was instantly enraged. You damn warrior. But at this moment, the 2 bosses were already walking toward him, seemingly saying, now you can't escape. Soon after, a huge fist smashed toward the bald man, sending him crashing into the wall behind him. He then fell to the ground, his consciousness fading. But even so, the other boss's anger wasn't appeased. It grabbed the bald man and lifted him up, then slammed him hard onto the ground. The bald man was covered in blood and lost consciousness. This time, thanks to warrior's instinct, I had discovered the newly appeared gravity trap. Don't worry, I said to his unconscious form. After I deal with these 2 bosses, I'll take you out and hand you over to the Adventurers Guild for the bounty. But unexpectedly, just as I was preparing to face the 2 bosses, the bald man actually stood up again and slowly said, "Are you kidding me? I'd rather go to hell than be captured." After saying that, he let out a strange laugh. He then took out a huge amount of explosives from his system inventory and strapped them all to his body. These explosives aren't like those crude ones. We'll burn together. I was shocked by his actions. Are you insane? If you detonate these, you'll die. But now the bald man had gone completely mad. His only goal was to drag me down with him, even at the cost of his own life. Detonate all 100 explosives at once. The bald man clicked the eyes button without hesitation. Let's go to hell together. A huge flame instantly erupted throughout the room. I hurriedly raised my greatsword in front of me, but the ground beneath my feet had already started to crack. Soon, the ground in my area began to collapse. I slowly fell into the darkness. Unexpectedly, I fell into a mysterious space. When I regained my sense, I discovered this was actually a hidden room that had never been found before. I looked up. Above was a huge hole. At this moment, the 2 bosses from above also jumped down. Even more unfortunately, I was caught between them. As I was thinking about countermeasures, I was delighted to discover a golden light emanating from a corner of the room. Looking closely, it was actually a golden chest. So that's it. No wonder these 2 bosses chased me so quickly. This hidden room contains what they were truly protecting. But the most important problem now was that this room was ridiculously narrow. The boss's huge body completely blocked the entire passage. In this cramped space, there was no room to perfectly dodge the boss's attacks. If I fought head-on against the pincer attack of 2 bosses, there was no way I could win. Now I could only bet my fate on that chest. With that in mind, I'd rushed toward the chest. As expected, the bosses immediately attacked me. I barely dodged the blow with a few jumps. But unexpectedly, the wounds inflicted by the bald man earlier suddenly sent a sharp pain through me. Enduring the intense pain, I jumped over the boss, and below was that mysterious golden chest. At this moment, the boss suddenly turned around and fired a death ray straight at me. The huge force hit me squarely in the back. Not only that, but the boss also launched a heavy punch. Under this combo, I was immediately sent flying, and my greatsword was knocked out of my hand. I fell painfully against the wall, blood spewing from my mouth. Just as I was feeling relieved that it wasn't a fatal blow, the boss lifted its giant foot and stomped down toward me. Seeing this, I desperately tried to dodge to the side. However, my injuries were too severe. I couldn't avoid it. My leg was now crushed and completely numb. However, the will to survive kept me going. I couldn't give up, no matter how painful it was. What other choice did I have? I dragged my legs on the ground, crawling painfully. Just a little further. At this moment, the boss's giant foot stomped down again. Soon after, a terrifying scream tore from my throat. But compared to the 7 years of despair in my past life, this was nothing. Being given a second chance at life, how could I fall again? I needed to prove to everyone that I could become stronger. Mom and Nishimi were waiting for me at home. With my last bit of oil, I reached the mysterious treasure chest. Instantly, a golden bracelet flew out of it. Hope flashed before my eyes. Just as both bosses were about to attack me again, I immediately grabbed the golden bracelet and put it on. With this, I would turn the tables. Teleportation bracelet. A super rare magic item that can teleport to any location. Perfect for my current situation. Behind me, the boss was already closing in. I immediately activated the teleportation bracelet's ability. Warning: this item is a magic artifact unsuitable for activation by a warrior class. Success rate reduced by 50. Warning: adventurer's mana is insufficient to activate the item. Success rate reduced by 35. Final success rate 15. It was analyzing, but the green boss's giant foot was already stomping down. I quickly extended my right hand, using the energy wave generated by the bracelet's activation to flip the green boss onto the ground. At the same time, the bracelet's ability successfully activated. Teleport successful. Instantly, I appeared on top of the red boss's head. I raised my greatsword high and slashed down at the red boss's core. This time, even if it cost me my life, I would bring back the elixir. But at this moment, the red boss's eyes emitted a dazzling light. A death ray immediately shot at me. Luckily, I dodged in time and got behind it. The death ray left a deep gash on the wall in front. These stone monsters were incredibly tough. Even though they had taken damage from that explosion, I still couldn't break through their defenses. If one hit didn't work, I just hit them multiple times. With that in mind, I activated the teleportation bracelet again. With the system's success notification, I appeared at the green boss's core. It was still on the ground, unable to get up. I seized this opportunity, raising my greatsword to pierce its core. But unexpectedly, just as it stabbed down, the green boss shook its body. I lost my balance and almost fell. Meanwhile, the red boss had already caught up from pawing, raising its huge hand to try and grab me. Teleport successful. I teleported behind it again, slashing down at its back with my sword. However, this attack wasn't enough to deal a fatal blow. The enraged boss swung its fist at me again. Teleport successful. Once again, I used the teleportation bracelet to teleport away. Your turn. I positioned myself right above the green boss's core and stabbed my greatsword into its cracks. No matter how many times it took, I would absolutely not give up. Under my relentless attacks, the green core gradually cracked. But the green boss wouldn't just lie there and die. It attacked me again. Teleport successful. I teleported in front of the red boss and continuously hit its core. The red core gradually cracked. Just like that, I used the teleportation bracelet to switch between the two bosses, hitting their cores repeatedly after each teleport. I had now completely mastered this legendary rare equipment. Although my class wasn't suitable for activating its ability, with my max out luck stat, I could use it with 100 efficiency. The two bosses now had me cornered between them. It's time. The teleportation bracelet activated. Instantly, both bosses' fists smashed into each other's cores. Their cores were now heavily damaged, on the verge of shattering. I seized the opportunity and teleported behind the red boss. Sure hit pierce. I stabbed my sword straight into its core. Instantly, the red boss's core completely shattered. Just like that, I had successfully defeated one boss. But the battle wasn't over. I teleported again, above the green boss's head. Great chain slash. I would end this with one blow. As both bosses fell, their bodies began to turn to dust and dissipate, and I, heavily injured, was completely exhausted. I fell helplessly from the air, finally landing in the sand where the bosses had turned. Warning: use edge limit reach. To continue using, please recharge energy. Congratulations, Adventurer Takahashi Yugeto has successfully defeated two bosses. Congratulations, Adventurer Takahashi Yugeto has obtained 2 legendary elixirs. Seeing the item I had longed for, I finally smiled. Everything was worth it. I immediately opened a bottle, and, without hesitation, drank it all. As I swallowed it, my body felt like a calm lake disturbed by a single drop of water. Instantly, a huge green light enveloped my entire body. My crippled legs healed rapidly right before my eyes. The wounds on my body instantly recovered. Thank God. I survived. My body felt reborn. This elixir would definitely cure my mother's illness. Special conditions have been met, granting Takahashi Yukita special titles. The Survivor Stamina 10. Solo Giant Slayer Strength 20. Executor of Justice Agility 10. Looking at the huge hole in the ceiling, I couldn't help but be amazed. Falling from that height, and I was fine. I'd better get back quickly. Instantly, my figure became a blur, moving rapidly up the stone wall. I easily returned to the boss room. When I looked around, I expected to see the bald man's corpse. Unexpectedly, only a blood-stained invisibility cloak remained. I wonder if I can get a bounty with this. Whatever. I'll take it first. With that in mind, I headed toward the exit. Just like that, I had successfully cleared the 20th floor. After returning to the surface, I reported the bald man's situation to the guild. However, when I pulled out the bloody cloak, the receptionist turned and ran in fear. This isn't something I can handle. I have to report this to my superiors. This incident caused quite a stir, to the point that reporters were trying to interview me, but I had no time for that right now. Sorry, I really have to go. We can talk about this another time. With that, I turned and left the guild building. I knew Mom's illness wouldn't relapse so quickly, but even 1 second sooner was better. Look, isn't that Takahashi Yukito from the news? It seemed I had set a new speed record for clearing the 20th floor, and it was making headlines. But none of that mattered to me. Anxiously, I ran to my front door. The moment I pushed it open, I saw Mom and Nishimi already waiting in the entryway. Welcome home. Seeing my two loved ones, I held up the elixir vial and smiled. I did it. Next, we took Mom back to the hospital. The test results were in. From what we can see, your mother's illness has been completely cured. The effect of that elixir is truly remarkable. Hearing this exciting news, we were overjoyed. Mom, this is great. We don't have to worry about you suddenly collapsing anymore. Our family can be together forever. It's all thanks to Yukito, Mom said gently. I know you put in a lot of effort. Her soft words suddenly made me remember the endless despair from my past life. The two emotions collided fiercely, turning into hot tears that streamed down my face. Mom, I'm the one who should be thanking you. Thank you for raising us all this time. As these words finally escaped my lips, the regrets I couldn't express in my past life, and the guilt buried deep in my heart all fell away with my tears. In this lie, I no longer had to be trapped in the past, clinging to despair. Yukito, really? Look where we are. Your eyes are all red, and the doctor is still here. But at that moment, the entire room was plunged into darkness. Time seemed to freeze. A figure suddenly appeared outside the window. As the window opened, a foot stepped inside. The man muttered to himself, "What a beautiful, happy family. It's a pity they'll soon become unhappy. Why do I have to do things like this?" With that, the man walked over to Nishimi. "A will is unnecessary. As for the cause of death, let's just say cardiac arrest." With that, the man raised his fist toward Nishimi. At that critical moment, I broke through the barrier's restraint and raised my greatsword to block the attack. "You bastard. What are you trying to do to my sister?" Seeing this, the man was completely shocked. "Strange. Why can you move? Answer my question first. Who are you, and why are you attacking my sister?" "Wait, your face. You remember now. You're the hero." The so-called hero was actually the strongest and highest-ranking adventurer, known as humanity's savior. Hello. Let me introduce myself. My name is Oyama Achusi. I'm a hero class. So, hero, why are you attacking my sister? I've answered one of your questions. Now it's my turn. Why can you move in this void barrier? You see, only those who have experienced soul death can move within the barrier. In that case, there's only one logical conclusion. You're also a regressor, so this is your second run too. That's right. Since you're also a regressor, this makes things easier. What I need to do now is completely eliminate all the factors that contribute to the world's destruction. You mean Nishimi? How could my sister be related to the world's destruction? She's just one of the factors. In the future, she has a severely negative impact on her husband. Hearing this, I suddenly remembered who Nishimi had married in my past life. Since you're her brother, you must know too. In the previous lie, he and Nishimi eventually couldn't escape a broken marriage. That broken relationship dragged his emotions into endless darkness. And that's what led to the world's destruction. So, to keep the world from being destroyed, I'll eliminate your sister before they meet. Can you accept that outcome? Are you kidding me? Everything changed the moment we returned. This life is completely different now. Take my mother, for example. She was hospitalized for a long time due to her illness. but now she's fully recovered. This means Nishimi won't have to work in nightclubs to pay for medical bills. And of course, she won't meet that man because of it. So, there's absolutely no need to kill Nishimi. Please, I beg you, spare my sister. Perhaps you're right, but compared to your baseless speculation, eliminating her now is clearly safer and more reliable. If you want her, you'll have to get through me first. This is troublesome. I really don't want to kill you. You know, I just want to save this world and minimize sacrifices as much as possible. I'd rather protect my family than save the world. At this moment, the hero suddenly had an idea. As long as you fight me right now and prove the possibilities you mentioned, I'll agree to spare your sister. How does that sound? Why do we have to fight? I just want to know if you're someone special. Seeing the hero's arrogant attitude, although I was extremely annoyed, I could only reluctantly agree to this duel. Hearing my agreement, the hero suddenly smiled cheerfully. By the way, I've reached level 50 with all my stats at 3, hero. Seeing these astonishing numbers, I was stunned. How did this guy achieve that? It's not surprising. This world is like that. Without strength, you can't protect anyone, not even your most important person. As a returnee, you should know this firsthand, he added, turning toward the window. He then drew his sword and pointed it at me. Come on, have you decided? Your sister, or a fight to the death with me? At this moment, my heart was in turmoil, not knowing what to do. If he used the teleportation bracelet to escape with my family, it meant I would have to constantly protect them. I could run now, but not forever. I took a deep breath and said with determination, let's fight. Hearing my answer, the hero looked satisfied. Confidence is good, but I advise you not to have any illusions about defeating me. There's not much time left. You should know my void barrier has a time limit. There are 10 minutes left. As long as you survive until the countdown ends, I'll choose to believe you for once. I pointed at the hospital room. Are we going to duel right here? Of course not. As a hero, how could I deliberately damage a hospital? Come outside and fight me. With that, he leaped down from the building. I looked back at Nishimi. Nishimi, I will definitely protect you. Then, I grabbed my metal slime greatsword and jumped down. The hero had already drawn his sword, ready for action. And my luck stat really turned the tables. Well then, let's begin. As soon as the hero finished speaking, he summoned 5 different elemental magic circles behind him. Instantly, various elemental magic attacks shot toward me. Going all out from the start, don't you think that's a bit much? And you're casting without chanting. You're really trying to kill me here. I complained while dodging the attacks. Don't be hasty. This is just the beginning. He then summoned 2 light clones. The 3 heroes charged at me. Seeing this, I was completely shocked. This is insane. How am I supposed to survive this? I complained while opening my system inventory. Summon 2 substitute puppets. I ordered the puppets to block the clones while I faced the real hero in the center. However, my meager strength was instantly pushed back. The substitute puppets were easily destroyed by the clones. If all you do is defend, you'll never win. But just then, a tune played. I pulled out the staff of chaos I had used before. A giant, flaming boulder was summoned. Try this on for size. I waved my hand. The flaming boulder crashed down toward the hero. I didn't think this would defeat him, but it should at least do some damage. However, a voice came from the dust. So that's it. This is the reward you got for returning. My reward is the void barrier I'm using. And I'm guessing yours is luck. As expected of the hero, that powerful attack only destroyed your clone. And you figured out my secret from just one move. You're wrong. I deduced it from your recent activities combined with that attack just now. In my eyes, aren't you pathetic for relying only on luck? Not at all. I believe that luck is indeed a form of strength, but relying only on luck can't solve everything. With that, the hero summoned more various magic circles. To you now, I am an insurmountable mountain. Each elemental magic summoned a spirit. I knew I couldn't have everything through my luck stat alone. There was only one chance to defeat the hero. When I saw his status window earlier, I noticed that only his luck stat was abnormally low, or basically non-existent. To protect my family, I would do anything, even if it meant becoming the enemy of the whole world. If I let the tragedy of my previous life repeat, what was the point of living again? The hero attacked me again, and this attack was even more ferocious than before. Even the fire and water spirits charged at me. Now, I could only take advantage of his bad luck. With that in mind, I pulled out the teleportation bracelet from my inventory. Just as all the attacks were about to hit me, the teleportation bracelet successfully activated. Instantly, I disappeared from where I was standing. At this moment, the entire city was frozen due to the hero's void barrier. I teleported to the street, but in the blink of an eye, the hero caught up with his spirits. I didn't expect you to have a teleportation bracelet, but I personally prefer flight magic. I jumped from the car roof into the crowd. Sorry, but let's fight here. If you want to test me, I also want to find out if you're really a qualified adventurer. If you're a hero, you won't drag innocent people into this, right? So that's it. That's why you lured me here. I am indeed a hero, and my duty is to protect everyone in this world. I would never intentionally harm them for personal reasons. Although in this crowded space, I really can't use large-scale magic. He snapped his fingers. The two spirits behind him disappeared. He then stored his sword in his inventory, but don't think this limits me. Let me show you the power of my other magic. He immediately summoned dozens of golden flying swords from behind him. Seeing this, I immediately sheathed my greatsword. I then opened my system inventory and pulled out the large silver slime shield. With this, blocking these flying swords was no problem. The hero waved his hand in the air. All the flying swords launched toward me. I quickly ran from where I was standing. However, the flying swords moved as if they had a mind of their own, precisely avoiding the crowd below while relentlessly trekking me. Seeing this, I immediately ran toward a nearby alley. But at this moment, one of the flying swords was already close to me. I frantically raised my shield. With a loud clang, the flying sword was deflected. The huge force left a deep crack in the wall. Soon after, with a loud bang, the out-of-control flying sword pierced through a nearby metal pipe. The hero slowly descended. You know, in the last days of the previous life, the number of monsters disguised as humans increased. The strays, who once only dared to hide in the shadows, even turned cities into their strongholds. With a gesture, he summoned earth magic, and countless spikes rose from the ground. I immediately turned and ran. In my previous life, I didn't care about these things. I mostly stayed in the dungeon killing slimes. I only saw the surface as a place to replenish food, so I wasn't clear about what happened to humanity in the end. The hero caught up and said, "That's a real pity. As fellow regressors, I was hoping we could share our experiences from the previous life." He raised his fist and charged at me. I quickly dove under a car. We have nothing to talk about. Is that so? Then you should enjoy this vast sky. The hero kicked down. A huge shockwave shot down at me. I frantically raised my shield to block it, but the terrifying force still sent me flying. I struggled to get up. Unfortunately, I'm the type who prefers to live in small places. So you're that type. I really feel sorry for you. Even if you say that, my personality won't change. I grabbed a nearby skateboard and quickly escaped. Watching me flee, the hero said helplessly, "Even at this point, you still choose to run. I've had enough of this game." I said, "You need to prove your worth, not play cat and mouse here." The hero drew a pentagram in front of him. Instantly, countless rays of light blocked my escape route. I quickly abandoned the skateboard and jumped back, but the hero had already caught up from behind. "If this is all you have, then let's end this farce." At this moment, I saw a utility pole standing nearby. An idea suddenly flashed in my mind. "Since it's come to this, you brought this on yourself." I rushed toward the pole, then kicked it hard. The pole snapped instantly. "Are you ready? My counterattack begins now." The utility pole slowly fell toward the hero. If the hero dodged, the civilians behind him would be crushed by the falling pole. With no other choice, the hero gave up dodging and caught the falling pole with his body. That's our hero. You absolutely wouldn't abandon innocent civilians. The hero casually put the pole down. Not bad. I can handle this level of trouble with ease. You really think so? Then you should protect everyone here. The cables connected to the pole suddenly snapped. Countless sparks crackle. The real show was just beginning. At this moment, a cable swung toward the gas pipe that had just sprung a leak. The crackling electricity instantly ignited the flammable gas. Soon after, a huge explosion erupted behind the hero. He was completely shocked and quickly turned to look. The site of the explosion was already engulfed in a sea of fire. He immediately summoned a water spirit. Quickly put out the fire. The water spirit used water magic to quickly extinguish the flames, but the fire was too large to be put out in time. Seeing this, I immediately taunted from the side. "Hero, your firefighting ability seems to be lacking. Want me to help?" The fire grew more intense, spreading to the trees on both sides of the road. Even the concrete road cracked from the high temperature. Soon, the ground in the middle of the road collapsed. 2 nearby cars were about to fall in. The hero was horrified. Impossible. How did it come to this? He hurriedly summoned 2 more spirits and ordered them to the rescue. To be safe, he even summoned his 2 light clones and led them quickly toward the pit. Fortunately, everything was still in time. Thanks to their joint efforts, they saved both the fallen civilians and the vehicles. I slowly walked toward the hero. Hero, you haven't forgotten our agreement, have you? I'm extremely busy right now. No time for you. Wait until I'm done with this. Then I'll settle the score with you. Even if I turn my back to you and let you attack, you can't break my defense. Since the hero said so, if I don't at least try, wouldn't that mean I've completely given up? Although I can't harm you, I can still cause you a little trouble. I raised my shield and rammed it into the hero's back. Unexpectedly, the hero was knocked over, and below was a whole lot of sewage. For the cleanliness-loving hero, this was hell on earth. The hero tried to reach out and grab the edge of the pit, but I swung my sword and successfully knocked his hand away. Are you kidding me? Just like that, the hero fell into the sewage in despair. His entire body was submerged, and he shouted angrily, "Takahashi Yukito, you bastard." I'm furious. But I didn't care about his anger. I pulled out the staff of chaos again. By the way, there are still many civilians to be saved. If you don't hurry, they'll really be in danger. Hearing my words, the hero lost his composure. All right. I surrender. You win. Happy now. Just like that, I won this duel in an extremely shameless way. My luck is really terrible, the hero grumbled, covered in filth. Terrible things always happen around me. You just kicked down a utility pole, yet it caused such a disastrous chain reaction. If I didn't have so many abilities, this situation would have been out of control. By the way, do you remember the big accident in the previous life? Of course. That was my most tragic memory from my past life. I still can't forget that explosion. It took away my last remaining family. After that, my life was filled with darkness. Compared to that, have I now proven the possibilities you mentioned? Of course, your actions surprised me. I'm very curious about what your future will be like, but I still need to observe you for a while longer. The time for the void barrier is almost up. Once I clean up here, I'll come find you again. The Calamity Curse. As for the Calamity Curse at the hospital, I'll leave it to you. There shouldn't be any problem, right? What Calamity Curse? At this moment, I had no idea what the hero was talking about. What? Seriously? You don't know about the tragedy that happened at the hospital in the previous life? It was all over the news. As a regressor, how could you not know? Don't joke with me like that. And at this moment, I was still completely clueless. I really didn't know. The hero fell silent. It was a major incident. Every news outlet reported it at the time. There was an explosion and the road collapsed. You still don't remember. They felt extremely ashamed. The truth was, in my past life, I had spent most of my time in the dungeon. At that time, I had been hunting slimes for 70 years, and didn't care about anything else. Hearing this, the hero sighed in frustration. It sounds like you completely wasted your previous life. Then you definitely don't have a strategy to stop the Calamity Curse either. That's right. I'm sorry, but I don't know what you're talking about, let alone any strategy. Either way, I don't have time to explain everything. The void barrier is about to disappear. You should go check the morgue in the hospital basement first. That way, you'll have a general idea of what's happening. Once I finish my work, I'll head there as soon as possible. I am warning you, if you do nothing, there will be casualties. Just as I was about to ask what that meant, the hero rushed off. Whatever. I should go back to the hospital first. With that thought, I activated the teleportation bracelet. Instantly, I was teleported away, and at the same time, the void barrier completely dissipated. Everyone on the street returned to normal, completely unaware of the battle that had just taken place around them. Back at the hospital, the doctor told my mother that from now on, only regular checkups were needed. At this moment, my mind was racing, and I had no time to explain much to my family. Besides, I didn't even know what was about to happen. This hospital is dangerous now. I need to get Mom and Nishimi out of here quickly. Just then, Nishimi's stomach growled. Haha, I'm actually a little hungry. Let's go get something to eat on the way home. I seized the opportunity. To celebrate Mom's recovery, let me cook dinner tonight. Hearing this, both Mom and Nishimi were surprised. Are you sure you can do it? Don't underestimate me. You two go home first. I'll go buy the ingredients. With that, I sent Mom and Nishimi home while staying behind at the hospital. Next, I needed to check the morgue, but ordinary people weren't allowed in there. To make my next moves easier, I went to the men's restroom. I put on the invisibility cloak that the bald man had dropped earlier. As long as I wore it, most monsters wouldn't detect me. I confidently walked out of the restroom. To passers-by, the restroom door suddenly opened by itself, leading one person to believe they had seen a ghost. Using the invisibility cloak, I quietly slipped into the elevator. Soon, I arrived at the hospital's basement. Under normal circumstances, no one came down here, which was why it was eerily quiet. To be safe, I immediately activated Warrior's Instinct. According to the radar, it showed no danger at present. I then searched around for the location of the morgue. Soon, I spotted the word morgue. Finally found it. The calamity curse the hero mentioned is inside. I cautiously entered, and saw 2 rows of neatly arranged beds in the empty room. And on each bed was a corpse. From what I could see, there was nothing unusual. Maybe the problem is in the inner room. With that thought, I walked toward the door on the opposite side. Just as I reached the door, I had a feeling that something behind me was watching. But when I turned around, I saw nothing unusual. However, the moment I took off the invisibility cloak, 2 neat rows of red dots suddenly appeared on the radar, perfectly matching the positions of all the beds. Instantly, the beds began to creak ominously. The motionless corpses suddenly began to move bizarrely. They also let out low growls. Soon, all the corpses shambled toward me like approaching zombies. So that's it. This is the calamity curse the hero was talking about. Could these be the undead? Undead monsters only appeared in the deepest parts of the dungeon. At that moment, a long-haired zombie locked onto me, and then charged swiftly. I immediately raised my greatsword. With one swing, I took it down. These zombies didn't carry a virus. The reason they became like this was because they died from a curse cast by a spirit-type monster. If they weren't buried quickly enough after a period of time, they would turn into zombies. And this curse was also contagious among corpses. In my past life, I heard that a soul repose ceremony could handle this, but right now, I had no way to perform it. The only good news was that this curse couldn't spread through the air to the living, only through bites. To block them, I used the bed boards to barricade the path. However, one board was clearly not enough. I needed to move a few more. So, while killing zombies, I arranged the bed boards in a row. Soon, using 3 bed boards, I completely blocked the path. Through the gaps, I could see that some of the zombies had been high-level adventurers when they were alive. If you hadn't become zombies, I definitely wouldn't be your match, I muttered, stabbing my sword through. At that moment, the door now behind me suddenly began to shake. It seemed there were more zombies behind the door. Soon after, the door burst open, and 2 zombies rushed out from the inner room. A female zombie fell to the ground, while the male zombie charged at me. Seeing this, I quickly turned and took it down with one blow. Then, I raised my great sword, ready to attack the remaining female zombie on the ground. Just as I was about to strike, I was shocked to see that the radar registered her as neutral and not dangerous. That meant this person on the ground was not a monster. The woman was terrified, muttering words I couldn't make out. If I hadn't paid close attention, I really would have thought she was a zombie. However, what was worse was that this woman had multiple wounds. She had clearly been bitten by a zombie. Fortunately, she had only just been bitten and could still be cured, but I didn't have the materials for an antidote right now. The bedboard barricade wouldn't hold for much longer. Should I save this woman first or prioritize killing these zombies? What a mess. Finally, I opened my system inventory and put on the teleportation bracelet. The bracelet activated. To make the antidote, I needed an alchemy tool, then holy water from a world tree leaf, and finally, the blood of the person taking the potion. Soon I gathered everything and returned to the morgue. I squatted down and carefully took a drop of blood from her fingertip. Now all the materials were collected. Next, I followed the instructions step by step to prepare it. This was my first time crafting a potion. Please let this work. Starting to craft exorcism elixir. Warning: player is not an alchemist class. Success rate reduced by 25. Warning: player lacks advanced alchemy synthesis skills. Success rate reduced by 70. Warning: insufficient math. Upon success, there is a 1 chance of excellent quality, 2 chance of normal quality, and 97 chance of poor quality. Crafting successful. Excellent quality exorcism elixir. Hang in there. I've finished the antidote. Drink it quickly. As the potion was consumed, A healing light suddenly emanated from her body. She quickly returned to normal. As expected of an excellent quality elixir, the effect was amazing. I helped her sit in a corner. Then, I picked up my metal slime greatsword and prepared to deal with those zombies again. To my shock, the once loud growling of the zombies had fallen into a bizarre silence. What was going on? Where had the zombies gone? When I looked through the gaps, the sight before me horrified me. The zombies had merged together, their forms twisting bizarrely. They formed a giant monster with a thunderous roar. The bedboards in front of me were blown away by the terrifying sound wave. This merged monster seemed far beyond what I could handle. If it came down to it, I would have to use teleportation to escape. I never expected to encounter a curse evolution. That damn hero really pushed a tough enemy onto me. The next time I saw him, he was going to pay for this. With that thought, I charged forward, sword raised. The monster extended 2 tentacles, which whipped swiftly toward me. I quickly ducked to dodge the attack. Then, with a slash, I cut off its head. The biggest weakness of zombies was their heads. The problem was, this thing had too many heads. At that moment, the monster's tentacles attacked again. I quickly sidestepped to dodge, then cut off another head with a slash. Just like that, while cutting off the attacking tentacles, I also cut off its heads. I had cut off most of its heads. Just when I thought I was about to win, the main head I had just cut off was regenerating rapidly. In just a few moments, it had completely recovered. No way. How am I supposed to fight this? The monster swung its tentacles again, but this time the target wasn't me. It was the 2 corpses I had killed earlier behind me. The monster slowly wrapped around the corpses and lifted them into the air. Then, it opened its gaping mouth and swallowed them in one gulp. A moment later, the heads I had just cut off grew back. They had all regenerated. This big guy is a real pain. You're a zombie now, so just die and rot like you're supposed to. Either way, to defeat this monster, I needed to cut off all its heads faster than it could regenerate, but most of my current skills were single target. I didn't have any area of effect skills. I could use the Staff of Chaos to cast magic, but I couldn't use large-scale magic here. If the power was too great, it would destroy the entire hospital. Do I really have to wait for the hero? That would be admitting defeat to him. But at that moment, I was horrified to see the remaining zombies shambling toward the merged monster. They slowly merged into the giant zombie's body. A few more heads then grew out of the monster's body. It even grew new arms. Watching this thing get bigger and bigger, I knew I couldn't wait any longer. I needed to eliminate it quickly. If it continued to grow, the doctors and patients upstairs would be in danger. The monster attacked first. Its huge size combined with its relentless attacks had already turned the entire morgue into a pile of rubble. I needed to defeat it quickly. If it kept getting stronger, I would have no chance of winning. Easier said than done. I didn't know how to win this fight. What I needed was a skill, or item that could take down all the heads at once without collapsing the hospital. At that moment, I discovered something scattered in the corner, and an idea flashed in my mind. After blocking its attack, I immediately hid behind the bedboards in the corner. This alchemy furnace might work. A tentacle whipped past, almost shattering the bedboard. Since I don't have what I need, I'll just make one on the spot. Luckily, the materials I need are right here. With that thought, I dismantled the iron frame from the bedboard. Obtained 4 steel pikes. However, at that moment, the monstrous tentacles tore through the bedboard. Calm down, big guy. Just give me a second. With that, I put the torn bedboard into my system inventory. Obtained 1 iron plate. Then, I pulled out the large metal slime shield. I would use this to buy time. Multiple tentacles whipped toward me. While dodging, I raised my shield to block. Then, I pulled out the alchemy handbook from my inventory. What I wanted to make was black powder, something with serious area of effect damage. The required materials were charcoal, sulfur, and saltpeter. The problem was, I didn't have any of them right now. I had originally planned to use the teleportation bracelet to go buy them, but right now there wasn't enough energy for a round trip. It was all because that hero made me use it so many times today. In that case, I would have to find what I needed here. While dodging the attacking tentacles, I searched for usable materials. Soon, I discovered broken wooden boards in the corner. Obtained 1 wooden board. I casually threw it into the nearby alchemy furnace. Crafting charcoal. Successfully crafted excellent quality charcoal. Next, I just needed sulfur and saltpeter. I had no idea how to get them, but I had modern technology on my side. I pulled out my phone and asked an AI assistant. It quickly found a series of methods. The simplest method was to extract it from matches. I rushed over to the unconscious woman. I searched her pockets and found a box of matches. It seemed luck was on my side. I threw them straight into the furnace, extracting sulfur and saltpeter from matches. Successful extraction. Now all the materials were collected. I immediately threw them all into the alchemy furnace. Successfully crafted excellent quality black powder. Then, I took out the iron plate I had collected earlier. Successfully crafted a pile of ammunition. Since I had the ammo, there was only one last thing to do. I then drew my design on a sketchbook. The monster, frustrated by its failed attacks, let out an angry roar. It then charged at me, dragging its huge body. Oh, so you can run too, big guy. Too bad it's too late. With that, I threw my design into the alchemy furnace. The paper clearly showed a crude shotgun design. Then, I took out the steel pipes I had collected earlier. First in the world formula. Initiating creative alchemy. Warning: player is not an alchemist class. Success rate reduced by 25. Warning: player lacks advanced alchemy synthesis skills. Success rate reduced by 70. Warning: insufficient mana. 0. 1 chance of excellent quality. 0. 99 chance of standard quality, and 99 chance of poor quality. Successfully crafted excellent quality shotguns. 2 guns appeared in my hands, automatically loaded. Now it's finally my turn to counterattack. I raised my hands and aimed at the monster in front of me. Warning: player's class is incompatible with firearms. Misfire probability increased by 30. Accuracy reduced by 30. Time's up. Successful shot. Time to show you the power of a dual gun user. Huge flames shot out from the barrels. Multiple powerful bullets shot toward the monster. Just like that, I blew off the monster's main head again. As expected, the destroyed head was regenerating at a visible rate. However, just as it was about to fully recover, I blew it off again with a shot from my dual guns. You think your regeneration can be faster than my bullets? With that, I fired another shot into the monster's body, blowing a hole through it. The monster immediately lost its balance and fell to the ground. Look at you, you pathetic little monster. What a joke. I've had enough playing with you. I slowly walked toward the monster, shotguns raised. I continued to fire into its entire body. The ammo ran out. By now, the monster had been shot to pulp. The only thing still recognizable was half a head. Notification: congratulations. Takahashi Yukido has successfully defeated the cursed abomination. First in the world clear completed. Title awarded: Demon Slayer Saint. Damage dealt to undead creatures increased by 30. Seeing the successful defeat notification, my tense nerves finally relaxed. It's finally over. There shouldn't be any more zombies, right? At that moment, the unconscious woman behind me slowly woke up. Graves. It seems the antidote I gave her earlier worked. Then it hit me. How do I explain why I'm here if someone asks? I'm a blood-covered intruder holding 2 guns. This doesn't exactly scream innocent. To avoid unnecessary trouble, I quickly stored the guns in my system inventory. Damn it. They could charge me with trespassing, or worse, illegal possession of firearms. Either way, I'll put on the invisibility cloak and get out of here quickly. However, at that moment, there was a sound from outside the door. Just my luck. Someone was coming at this time. This cloak wasn't perfect. Many items and skills could detect it, and the teleportation bracelet didn't have enough energy left. At that moment, the morgue door opened, and 2 armed guards rushed in first. Behind them, more servants entered carrying a magnificent palanquin. A young girl sat on it, engrossed in her phone. I never expected someone from the church. This could be troublesome. Even though I was wearing the invisibility cloak, they had detected me. Lady Naomi, there's a suspicious man here. However, the girl didn't even look up, continuing to play on her phone. Is he an enemy of God? After getting an uncertain answer from her subordinate, the girl sighed helplessly. She tossed her phone to a servant. Save the event. Keep moving. With that, she stepped down from the palanquin. The gold, silver, and jewels of the world are but the overflowing treasures of heaven. Those who use these riches to gain power without God's blessing are unforgivable. After speaking, under the soldier's gaze, she slowly walked toward me. This made me extremely nervous. Why is this little girl acting so weird? Excuse me, handsome young man. Are you an enemy of God? I quickly took off the invisibility cloak and said, seriously, what do you think? I just took down an undead monster. Then how do you prove it? And you don't look like hospital staff. Do you have the ability to detect the undead like me, or even something stronger? Just as I was wondering how to explain, a familiar figure walked in. Don't worry, I sent him to investigate. The person who had just arrived was the hero I had fought earlier. Everyone immediately bowed respectfully, showing how much they valued him. I apologize for being delayed by handling some incidents. So that's it. If the hero knows him, he definitely can't be suspicious. I was just a little confused. This guy's karma value is quite low. Hearing this, I was confused. Karma value. I've never heard of that stat. That's because I possess the eyes of judgment. Through these eyes, I can see a person's good and evil value. As expected of the church's youngest priestess. Is this a special skill that only rare classes can have? I'm not that impressive. It's nothing compared to the hero's level. By the way, is this person participating in the Holy Crusade? Congratulations, you guessed right. If it's him, he'll definitely play a crucial role in this Holy Crusade and help liberate the temple from the demons. See, since the hero said so, I'll personally take him to the scene. To be honest, I don't want subordinates. My fate being decided so arbitrarily instantly angered me. Yukato, don't be angry. I was just joking. He suddenly became serious. Don't refuse so quickly. Come with me for a moment. The two of us stepped into a corner. Sorry, but I need your help. Keep an eye on the kid for me. You know about the class change temple, right? It's very important for adventurers. Through the class change ceremony, you can upgrade your current class and gain more powerful abilities. Even if you don't like your class, you can change it there. In the previous lie, the Holy Crusade failed. The liberation of the temple was delayed, weakening adventurers across the board. Meanwhile, the monsters were strengthened. Since you know this, with your participation, I believe the Holy Crusade will definitely succeed. That said, I'm also very busy. There are countless new emerging threats I need to stop, threats that are far more dangerous. So why me? I am obviously not strong enough. Look, you need to build a relationship with the church. Their support is necessary to tackle the deep floor areas. That's right, to efficiently clear the deep dungeons, having the church on my side is my best bet. Moreover, the church has a monopoly on talent with healing and support magic. They've even set up multiple teleportation stations in the deep dungeons, allowing adventurers to move quickly between floors. So, he agreed to the hero's request. At that moment, I suddenly grabbed the hero's collar. But before that, you have to swear you'll never harm my family again. Of course, I won't interfere with those who are valuable to the world, so I'm counting on you for the Holy Crusade. Alright. First, tell me the details regarding your previous life. After the hero explained, I basically understood the general situation. At this time, Naomi became a little impatient. Are you two done talking? We're about to leave. With that, she cast a spell on me. Instantly, all the dirt on my body was cleansed. She then turned and hopped onto the palanquin. Let's go to the nearest church to test your abilities. You'll only go to the battlefield if you meet the minimum combat requirements. She reached for the phone handed to her by a servant. At this moment, the hero behind me had quietly left. Good luck, Akashi Yukito. I believe in you. What a hassle. I hope I can still make it home for dinner. Nami took me to the nearest church. Ready. Your opponent is one of my level 40 subordinates. His combat power is only average. A paladin stepped out from the group. He drew his long sword and pointed it at me. This level is a bit high for me, but I can still fight. Instantly, we engaged in combat. Meanwhile, Naomi pulled out a bag of bread from somewhere and then casually munched on it while watching the battle before her. After a few exchanges, I realized he was much weaker than expected. Paladins were supposed to be defensive, but even so, he shouldn't be this weak. At that moment, Naomi, who had finished her bread, finally made a move. By the grace of God, let me grant you power. Naomi continuously chanted magic spells. As her staff came down, a red magic aura immediately enveloped the paladin. I noticed his combat power soared dramatically. The tables were instantly turned. Damn it. Is this the power of her buff magic? Now the paladin's attack and defense were both sky high. The situation was not looking good for me. At that moment, I was surprised to discover a flaw in his gauntlet. A crucial screw was not tightened. Maybe I could take advantage of this. With that thought, I swapped my greatsword for a shield. Then, I took out a small piece of metal, a fragment created during smithing. At that moment, the paladin leaped high toward me. Skill Holy Hammer. I was already prepared. I channeled all my mana into the metal fragment. Then, I rushed toward the paladin. Skill sure hit pierce. A golden light flashed in the air. The metal fragment was precisely shot into the flaw in his armor. Instantly, the armor exploded. Seeing this, I immediately raised my shield and used shield bash. It paralyzed his arm on impact. Just like that, the paladin lost his balance and fell to the ground. Then, I took out my greatsword again and pointed it at him. Looks like I win. Congratulations, you passed. Just like that, I successfully gained their approval. After agreeing on the specific time and meeting place for the Holy Crusade, I returned home. It was a good thing I made it back in time to cook dinner, although my portion was a bit burnt. I knew letting you cook wasn't the best idea, Mom teased. Don't be discouraged, you kid. You'll definitely do better next time, Nishimi encouraged. I knew it wasn't perfect, but Nishimi and Mom didn't seem to mind and started eating. To protect them, I had to get stronger quickly. I didn't know when the hero might change his mind, so my current goal was to surpass him. First, I needed to deal with the class change temple. Meanwhile, at the church, several paladins requested an audience with Naomi. Their goal was to protest against adventurers participating in the Holy Crusade. Letting those selfish adventurers participate is too dangerous. Hearing this topic again, Naomi felt frustrated. She didn't want to get involved in these political struggles. The lead paladin continued to press. They had failed once before. The church headquarters was investigating why they failed, but the results showed that teams with good moral character had a higher survival rate. That's why the headquarters used a hidden stat board to judge good and evil. The strength of God's enemies was proportional to the karma value. However, the hero had warned against relying too much on it due to its dangers. However, this statement immediately angered the captain. You think those adventurers who live reckless lives are more trustworthy than us with our devout faith? According to my investigation, some of these people were even criminals before. What you say makes sense, but I've already agreed to let them participate. Do you want me to go back on my word? Of course not. But you didn't promise to fight alongside them. They see. I will not let the adventurers participate in the battle in the temple. After hearing a satisfactory answer, everyone knelt on one knee in gratitude. Time passed, and the day of the Holy Crusade arrived. But I waited for a long time, and Naomi still hadn't come to discuss battle strategies with me. And that girl actually dared to text me saying she would announce the plan on the day itself. And thanks to my outstanding performance before, I was appointed as the captain of the adventurers for this mission. Next, I found myself standing on the first floor of the dungeon. After I met up with Naomi and the others, I was shocked to find that the church group didn't seem to welcome me at all. It seemed this cooperation would be very troublesome. I then gathered with the adventurers on the grassy field. For a low-level rookie like me to be the captain is both an honor and a challenge. I will do my best, and I hope for your cooperation and patience. Unexpectedly, no one had any objections to me being the captain. Since you're an adventurer the hero values, we'll trust you unconditionally. You know, the hero often helps us out. If it weren't for him, we'd probably still be in prison. Hearing this, I was quite surprised. I never expected that guy's daily actions actually matched his hero status. But thinking about his smug, sinister attitude really annoyed me, and I couldn't let it go. Just then, Naomi called from the side. We're leaving. We were going to the temple on the 30th floor to prepare for the Holy Crusade. Immediately, everyone went to the church's location on the first floor. Wherever humans lived in peace, a church could always be found. Under normal circumstances, using the teleportation array in the church required a huge donation, but since we were here to help this time, we could use it for free. As the nun at the side continuously chanted, we passed through the teleportation magic array, and were instantly teleported. The place we were now in was the Tokyo dungeon, 30th floor, the eternal polar night. This was a world-only night. The entire area was illuminated by the faint light of the aura. There weren't even many monsters here. The strangest thing was that this floor had no boss, so adventurers could advance to the next floor without fighting. Therefore, most adventurers ignored the existence of this floor. Soon we arrived at our destination, the class change temple. So, they immediately asked Naomi, "You should tell us your battle strategy now." Naomi pointed toward the temple ahead. "Leave the monsters inside to use," she said. "As adventurers, you only need to handle the perimeter security." Hearing this, I was stunned. "You mean you don't want us to participate in the battle?" At this moment, the paladin captain stepped forward. "Don't think this arrangement is bad. You know, with such high karma, entering the temple is too risky. Leave the monster clearing to professionals like us." Hearing this, I was quite angry. The hero was right. The karma value was a flawed stat. If it was a pure, evil person, that was fine. But if you encountered hypocrites, the karma value would only give the opposite result. Therefore, the karma value was often exploited by those with ill intentions, as even the church started to rot. This mission is such a hassle. I immediately stepped up to fight for the interests of my comrades behind me. You know, we still need to report this mission to the Adventurers Guild. If they find out we gave up halfway, our adventurer careers will be over. Of course, we won't make things difficult for you. Lady Naomi is very generous. With that, he handed over the mission agreement. Now, your mission is considered complete, and the reward will be paid in full. If you still have any complaints, please leave immediately. Getting full pay without doing anything. You guys are really generous. Since it had come to this, I couldn't continue to argue. After all, as hired reinforcements, our position put us at a natural disadvantage. Although, the paladins were all extremely excited. Only Naomi hung her head, looking very upset. In the end, she only said, "Goodbye." Then, leaving us behind, she turned and walked toward the temple. The adventurers all agreed with this arrangement. After all, the mission was considered complete. We just needed to wait to receive the reward later. However, only I knew that if this continued, this holy crusade would end in a disastrous failure and only accelerate the world's destruction. If the gods really exist, please save these fools. At this moment, I was completely lost and didn't know what to do. What would the hero do in this situation? To reclaim the class change temple, the church members left us behind and entered alone. However, the scene before them shocked them. In front of a statue, a group of monsters from different races was kneeling. Their intrusion immediately caught the monsters' attention. However, these creatures didn't immediately attack. Why was that? Something was wrong. You know, there were very few monsters on this floor, yet so many different species were gathered here. While Naomi was still pondering the reason, the paladins beside her had already charged up. These monsters dared to turn their backs on us. This is the perfect chance to wipe them out. However, as they rushed in to kill, black gas flew out of their bodies and was gradually absorbed by the statue in front. Instantly, the statue actually opened a terrifying mouth and immediately transformed into an evil god, emitting a terrifying aura. An evil god, but we are devout believers. Why did it get stronger? Could there be a sinner among us? As doubts arose, although paladins began to suspect that they might be the sinner. Company property isn't private property, so that should be fine, right? Expensive items are also fine, as long as they're given with good intentions. It's a bit embarrassing, but getting divorced and remarried multiple times is legal. Everyone held on to hope, believing it definitely wasn't them. If it's not me, then it must be one of you. Seeing the situation, Naomi sighed helplessly, just as the hero had said. You can't trust appearances. Most people still struggle to resist worldly temptations. Naomi slammed her staff on the ground. Listen up, everyone. Who the sinner it is can wait. Right now, prepare for battle. Lady Naomi is right. We must believe that the gods will bless us. The paladin said this, and raised his longsword, charging toward the monsters. Naomi cast buff magic from behind, raising the overall combat power of the paladins by a level. However, the enemy's lineup was too comprehensive. They even had mages in the back casting fireballs. Combined with the buff effect from the evil god, these monsters were now extremely powerful. Everyone, don't panic. These are just ordinary monsters from below the 30th floor. We've already reached the 40th floor. There's no reason we should lose to them. With that, Naomi cast healing magic and instantly healed all the paladins' wounds. The paladins' morale soared again as they launched a fierce attack on the monsters. However, at this moment, the evil god statue transformed again. A huge demonic energy gushed out from within. The moment the black gas touched the monsters, a huge power burst out from their bodies. Just like that, the monster side overwhelmed the human side in overall strength. The paladins were beaten back step by step. This made some of the timid paladins afraid. Why is this happening? We've never heard of a situation like this. At this rate, things will only get worse for us. The more adventurers are slaughtered, the more powerful its divine rank becomes, granting it more power. That's right. Gaining new skills through leveling up wasn't exclusive to humans. Two demon wolves quickly charged toward a paladin. Under the siege of two monsters, the paladin was defeated in an instant. On the other side, a paladin was grabbed by an orc with one hand. With no one to rescue him, only death awaited him. The situation was getting worse and worse. Even Nami's mana was almost depleted. Seeing this, some paladins began to despair. Can we even win? Fear instantly generated a large amount of black gas. After the evil god absorbed this gas, its appearance changed again. A pair of demon horns grew on its head. Damn it. It's feeding on everyone's fear to make itself stronger. Without sacrifice, there's no way to win. Let this be my place of martyrdom. Even if I have to use a self-destruct spell, I will carve a bloody path to the goddess statue. At this moment, everyone had no way out. Under Nami's buff magic, all the paladins raised their swords and charged forward. Now is the crucial moment to show our faith. However, this faith collapsed instantly. The two paladins who charged ahead were instantly killed by monsters. Witnessing this brutal scene, the remaining paladins trembled in fear. With just a glance from the demon wolf, they completely lost their will to fight. Leaving Nami behind, they turned and ran toward the gate. Come back. Fleeing will only hasten our demise. But the paladins had lost all reason, desperately pounding on the temple gate. Seeing this, Nami fell into despair. How did it come to this? Where has your faith gone? Am I the only one prepared for martyrdom? I just hate the feeling of dying in vain. At this moment, outside the temple, the hired adventurers were all waiting in boredom. What should we do? They've been inside for a while now. I wonder how the battle is going. Everyone, I said, getting their attention. We've completed the church's mission, but please allow me to issue a new request to liberate the temple. There's no time to go back to the Adventurers Guild to report this. Everyone was confused when they heard my words. Is it necessary to go that far? Those church people clearly don't want us to participate. It's because the heroes sent us here for a special reason. Hearing my words, everyone hesitated. We have to hurry. That girl seems to be being used by the paladins around her. If we stand by and something happens, we'll regret it for the rest of our lives. You're right. How can we go back like this? Now is the time to repay the hero's trust. Instantly, everyone walked toward the temple gate. I glanced back at everyone and realized that not a single person chose to leave. The hero had really gathered a great group of adventurers. I then stepped up to observe the temple gate. I turned to the others and said, "Everyone, get ready to break in." However, at this moment, a strong evil aura emanated from the temple. It seemed the situation inside was worse than I thought. I immediately activated my warrior's instinct. On the radar, a huge red sphere was clearly displayed below. This is beyond me. Sorry, but I'm not betting my life. Just like that, because of this aura, half of the adventurers chose to leave. Now, there were only a few of us left. Either way, we have to go in and see. Don't worry. In times like these, we should smile. Even if it's just false bravery, as long as we trick our own bodies, it's a win. Just as I was moved by their words, the gate suddenly opened. Two paladins ran out in a panic. However, I kicked them back inside. You guys seem to be in trouble. Do you need our help? Seeing our arrival, Nami's hope was rekindled. The fleeing paladin defended himself. Even if you come in, you'll only come to die because your filth will only make the evil god stronger. However, after we all entered the temple, the evil god's appearance didn't change. Impossible. You must be using some kind of artifact. That man had a history of theft. That woman used to sell her body. Hearing these insults, rage boiled within me. Shut your filthy mouths, you hypocrites. If the gods only blessed perfect people, there wouldn't be a single believer in this world. My words snapped Nami out of her daze. That's right. There are no perfect people in this world. If there were, they would already be gods. No one can live their whole life without making a mistake. Everyone can always start over, no matter when. Everyone, draw your weapons. Let these hypocrites see our strength, the adventurers. I led the remaining adventurers into the temple. Nami was shocked to see these. Why are you still here? However, at this moment, a demon wolf suddenly bared its fangs and lunged at her. Seeing this, I immediately rushed over and swung my sword, instantly killing the demon wolf. I'll explain later. Focus on the battle for now. With that, I took out the Staff of Chaos from my backpack. Instantly, a large area lightning power struck the monster group. However, it didn't deal much damage to the monsters. Nami took this opportunity to quickly drink a high-grade healing potion. Her body recovered instantly. After being buffed, these monsters' strength surpasses the 40th floor level. Ordinary magic attacks can barely deal significant damage to them. In that case, we can only face them head-on. Instantly, Nami cast buff magic. Everyone's strength was immediately enhanced. Two warriors charged at the nearest orc while another adventurer threw daggers to distract it. The two warriors simultaneously attacked high and low on the monster's body. Under their coordination, they continuously dealt massive damage. Watching from the side, I was impressed. Is this the power of teamwork? No wonder the heroes sent them. With our original strength, we should have won easily. Yeah, both the paladin class and the adventurers are at half strength. Winning has become very difficult. We need to think of something. At this moment, Nami finally made up her mind. Leave it to me. I plan to use sacrificial magic to settle things with the evil god. Sacrificial magic was the priest class's only attack magic, converting life force into magical energy to attack the enemy. But to defeat the evil god statue before use, the price was probably death. Hearing her words, I was shocked. Are you serious? You'll die if you do that. Don't pity me. From the moment I took my oath, I was prepared for martyrdom. Hearing these words from such a young girl, a sharp pain suddenly rose in my heart. Damn it. Everyone, unleash your full power. Prepare for a final all-out attack on the evil god. Instantly, whether it was adventurers or church paladins, everyone present gathered together, emitting all their strength. Soon after, both sides launched an all-out attack. Through everyone's unremitting efforts, we finally carved a bloody path and successfully got Nami in front of the evil god statue. Thank you, everyone. Now I can fulfill my mission. With that, Nami began to concentrate her mana. The arrow of Indra, the thunder of God's wrath. This body is a fortress that will destroy all of God's enemies. Apocalypse. However, when the magic spell was halfway chanted, Nami's small body suddenly began to tremble. The fear of death suddenly enveloped her entire body. Her vision began to blur. She even began to have hallucinations. In that moment, in a daze, she saw herself covered in blood, lying quietly in a thick pool of blood. At this moment, she had completely stopped thinking, with only the fear of death remaining. She didn't even hear me calling her from the side. Her inner fear almost gave the evil god an opportunity. Fortunately, I blocked in front of her in time and took the attack. Were you just afraid of death? How could that be? I was just. Even after being exposed, Nami continued to make excuses. It's actually okay to be afraid. No one isn't afraid of death. Fear is just the most normal reaction a person has when facing death. My words immediately allowed the deep pain in her heart to pour out. Hot tears streamed down her cheeks. Actually, you've done better than most people. But besides my sacrificial magic, is there any other way to defeat the evil god? Oh, there's still something you can do. Pray. That's the true duty of a priest. These words immediately reignited hope in Naomi. That's right. I can still pray. I have never failed in matters of faith. As long as I follow the scriptures, everything will be fine. But would prayer really work against this frenzied evil god? I'll bet everything on this one chance. Place my faith in the gods and pray for a miracle. My great God, please show your divine light. Your followers need your salvation. Instantly, a huge divine power immediately illuminated the entire temple. At the same time, the evil god's power was suppressed by the divine force. Its mouth was completely sealed. Seeing this, Nami was overjoyed. It actually worked. Well done. I knew you could do it. Leave the rest to me. Let the evil god witness our power, the adventurers. To complete a class change, two conditions must be met. One is the prayer of a priest, and the other is the temple's altar. But the problem was that we were currently in battle, and the system couldn't determine the ownership of the altar. So, if I forced the class change ceremony now, the success rate would be extremely low. But I was an exception. I had 999 points of maxed out luck. For me, any chance above 0 could be considered 100. Please select the class you wish to change to. Instantly, information about various classes appeared around me. Berserker Offense is the greatest attack. Often excels in head-on confrontations and defeating higher-level enemies. Paladin, the one who bears the storm and purifies the ravaged crops. Jester, a tragedy up close, a Kami from afar. Seeing me suddenly activate the class change ceremony, Nami beside me was completely shocked. I told you, as long as you pray to the gods, a miracle will happen. Excited, Nami immediately suggested I choose Paladin after seeing its information. Paladin is a very suitable class for you. Not only can it use healing magic, but it also greatly enhances defense. It's a rare class that only a few people in the entire church possess. However, I immediately refused. Sorry, but I'm not a devout believer. Between the two, I prefer this one. When Nami saw the class I was pointing at, she showed an expression of disbelief. No way. Are you serious? However, the class change had already begun. Takahashi Yukato has successfully changed class to Jester. This left Naomi behind me completely stunned. Why would you choose to become a Jester? There was a pall. Jester ranked first among the top 10 most disliked classes. That's because all of the Jester's skills are probabilistic gambles. With bad luck, you can't even defeat the lowest level slime. But for me, this was practically a god tier class. New skill learned, Gamble of Fate. I then turned to Naomi and said, "Alright, please continue to cast buff magic on me." As Naomi's magic activated, my attack power and critical hit rate both doubled. Combined with the Demon Slayer Saint title I had received before, damage to undead increased by 30. Then add Great Chain Slash with triple critical damage. And finally, my newly learned Jester skill, Gamble of Fate. 50 chance to increase the next attack's damage by 10 times. 50 chance to reduce all stats to 1/10 for 1 hour. I raised my buffed metal slime greatsword and leaped high toward the evil god statue. You know, if a man wants to go from slave to king, as a Jester, must start by killing a god. As my greatsword slashed down, the evil god statue completely shattered. I had decided that in this life, I would become the world's strongest Jester. In my magnificent presence, Naomi was speechless. She could only stand there and watch in stunned silence. The others were all overjoyed to see the evil god statue shatter. The enemy's leader has fallen. Dealing with the remaining minions is just a matter of time. Without the evil god's buff effect, these monsters immediately returned to their original weak state. They were all dealt with by the adventurers in just a few moves. At the same time, clear sunlight shone through the gap in the window, turning into a bright golden thread that poured in, illuminating Naomi's heart from this moment on. Notification: Takahashi Yukato has successfully defeated Bear of the Demonic Mirror. Title received: Evil God Slayer. Monster damage increased by 50. Maximum damage record updated. Damage threshold surpassed. Skill: Great Chain Slash upgraded to Extreme Chain Slash. The class change temple now belongs to the human faction. Just like that, we successfully won this battle. At this moment, the adventurers who had left earlier rushed back. Although we didn't have the courage to participate in the battle, we reported this to the Adventurers Guild. Reinforcements are on their way. But looking at you guys, it seems they're not needed anymore. Also, we helped you catch these deserters. We'll leave their punishment to you. At this moment, Naomi walked toward this group with a grim expression. I will give them the punishment they deserve. Seeing that everything was resolved, I prepared to go home. If there's a chance, let's team up again. See you. However, at this moment, Naomi called me back. I have a question for you. When you were changing classes, you said you weren't a devout believer, but you know a lot from the scriptures. Can you tell me where you learned it? If I had to trace it back, I'd say I learned it by reading a long time ago. Actually, in my past life, I was also a believer, responsible for cooking. In my spare time, I just read the scriptures a bit. The scene shifts back to the church. For those deserters, Naomi prepared a chance for them to atone. That was to punish them in a worldly way. Those greedy for money will be imprisoned and await the judgment of the law. As for you, who loves melons, you will be sent to East Africa to live with the animals there. Finally, the leecher. I will help you remove the source of that sin. After finishing all this, Naomi took off her priest's robe. Now it's my turn to accept punishment. Despite everyone's earnest efforts to keep her, Naomi finally decided to resign from her position as a priestess. Goodbye, everyone. I have decided to go to the secular world and start a new cultivation. In another place, I was leisurely watching tea at home. A sudden knock on the door broke the tranquility. However, when I opened the door and asked who it was, I was startled by the person in front of me. Handsome young man, do you believe in the existence of gods? I don't believe in gods. I only believe in myself. Just as I was about to close the door, Naomi suddenly rushed into my house. Although I don't have much attack magic, I have plenty of support magic. What a hassle. You just cast haste, didn't you? Spit it out. What do you want from me? I want to party up with you to conquer the dungeon. Your reason? Because I saw the light of this world in you, Yukato. I had no idea what she was talking about, but this was actually a good opportunity. After all, going solo would always have its bottlenecks, and this girl was a powerful support, so I accepted her party invitation. Before going to conquer the dungeon, I used the money I earned during this time to buy a new house for my family. My mother and sister were overjoyed to see the new house. When everything was ready, my own adventure had just begun. Onward to the dungeon. The hero had now reached level 70. It seemed the gap between him and me had widened again. But even so, I would not stop moving forward. I believe that one day I will surpass you. As we stepped into the teleportation array, we arrived at the 20th floor of the dungeon. Sorry to keep you all waiting. The adventurers who had fought alongside me in the temple were now my teammates. With the team's seamless coordination, our monster-killing efficiency became exceptionally high. And this was the power of trust. I would grow stronger with them until I reached the pinnacle of this world.